Mr. Chair, we're ready to proceed. Mr. Usher, can the witness be brought in? Mr. Witness, welcome back from the break. In the last session, you told us about yourself. You told the Commission about your arrest by the NIA agents from your home. You've also told the Commission about your detention at the Kotu police station. Further, how you were transferred and detained at the National Intelligence Agency headquarters in Banjul. You've also told the Commission about the torture that you experienced at the NIA headquarters. By agents of the agency. At this point, I would like us to continue. As we had stopped when you had mentioned that it was discovered that the story you were telling them was actually true. And that Can you now tell this Commission what happened after that?
That was the time when they informed me that, well, we will release you.
On the 10th.
We were there until on the 10th.
On the 10th June.
On the 10th of June.
Can you tell the Commission of what year?
2007.
It was in 2007.
You may continue.
And that's the time when they released Esa Baji and Victor. Then after some time, I asked Musa Kinte, you told me that I will be released. Now, what's happening? He said, no, just wait, we will release you.
Oh no, on the 13th June, Boubacar Diallo arrived with on Jibini.
It was that time I was still there until on the 13th of June when Boubacar Diallo came to inform me that my wife has delivered. Then I said, thanks to Allah. As far as nothing wrong has happened to her, then I asked him, what did she get? She said she delivered a girl.
Okay.
I said, okay.
On the 18th June.
I was still there till 18th of June. I asked Musa Kinte again.
We ko hande men fonno ma accude kono yesoje amen o wi joni anka a koddo men wata ma accude so falaka halaka yalla so men accima a yaltino halaka yaso to men parani golle amen.
Then when I asked him, he said, well, you are a stranger in this country, and our leader said that we shouldn't release you because when we release you, whatever has happened to you, you will narrate it outside, and we don't want this information to get outside. So this is why.
Mr. Balde, did he tell you who the leader was that he was mentioning?
He didn't give me the name directly to say it was Mr. So-and-so. But usually when they talk like that, their leader at that instant, their unit leader was called Dembaso.
ɓayra kam neɗɗo ko haala gonga mi anda si ko ongo wino ɗum e si wona ɗum kono ko o wonno leader maɓɓe o wattu ɗon signe après to.
But I cannot say whether it was really from Demba Sow or from somebody else they were taking their commands from. But at that time, their unit leader was Demba Sow.
Mr. Balde, at that time, do you know who the DG of NIA was?
Joni ni ga wonɗo Mr. Balde ndax on jamanude anduno ko hombo wonno yeesojo woni ngon hoɗo NIA?
Yes.
Can you tell this commission his name?
Dayda wawi haalande commission ko wonno hombo ko honno woni inde makko?
Ko Pa Diallo.
It was somebody called Pa Diallo.
You may continue.
Après onya woni on ha on talata on the 19th June.
We were there on Tuesday, the 19th of June.
Around what would you tati nyalorma?
Around 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Mi be a GP type ka do etas kambe NIA.
I saw them coming down the stairs from the story building, the NIA officers.
Idrissa Diop, Musa Kinte, Samba Gajaga, Lamin Dabo.
Idrissa Diop, Musa Kinte, Lamin Dabo, and Samba Gajaga. They went and opened the door of the cells.
Mr. Witness, it is correct to say that the officers you saw coming down were the same officers who were in your panel investigation team.
Said we know ini nungo gonga wandama bembe yino da ben hibe jippo ka do etation do ko be wonno yimbe be andana ma wondo ko on ange mabbe wonduno e don suudu do ka etation ko ange mabbe wonduno ton.
Ko mene wonduno.
Yes, they were the same people.
Be udito e selji di nder enayt nekata wobbe no ka selji kono mimmi andani.
When they came down, they went and opened the doors of the cells. On the whole, there were some people incarcerated in those cells, but I was not aware of that. I saw them bringing out people from the cells. That's the time when they called me.
Do you remember how many cells you saw that day?
It was 2 cells. They brought some from the other cell and brought other people from the other cell.
Do you remember how many people you saw being brought out of the cells?
Well, I can count them because I can remember some of them now because we were staying together for some time at the Mile 2 prison.
Can you give us a rough estimate of how many people there were?
It was 13 of us.
You may continue to tell the commission what happened after they were brought out of the cells.
They brought them out and they told me to join them and told us to go out, and when we went out they told us to board the vehicles that were parked at the gate. There were 3 vehicles. We went on board those vehicles and we were taken directly to Mile 2 prisons.
Can you tell the commission how many officers escorted you to Mile 2 prisons?
It
was 13 of us.
And how many officers, how many NIA agents escorted you to Mile 2 prisons?
Idrissa Diop, Musa Kinte, Samba Gajaga, Lamin Dabo.
The NIA officers were Idrissa Diop, Lamin Dabo, Musa Kinte, and Samba Gajaga. But there was a vehicle where you have paramilitary officers. That vehicle was following us from behind.
Can you tell the commission what happened next when you arrived at Mile 2 Central Prisons?
When we reached Mile 2 prison, they took us directly to the office of the Director of Prisons. What they said to the man was, these people are our detainees. We are leaving them under your custody until we need them again.
Mr. Balde, at that time, do you know who was the DG of the prisons?
Yes.
Can you tell the commission?
Astagfirullah, that David ko no hebi problem dem balle boyrano ko debbo goddo akujo wonno to mejitino ko anti rek be wayno ko deputy director ko Yaya Jeju.
The deputy director was called Yaya Jeju, but the person, the acting director, I cannot remember her name. It was a lady. We just call her auntie. This is why I was unable to catch her name, because at that time David Colley was in a problem.
Can you tell the commission the prison officers who met you at the DG's office, their names?
Joni nini gilabe yotini onka hodo kadum woni ka kasotong. Dahida way halande yimbe ben liggotobe kasotong ben gollaybe ton ben ko hombe jabbino on don gilabe nabi on enay ben nabi on ko hombe jabbino on don gollano ben ka kasotong.
De ben nata ame yoti ko goton wono ton no we jomendi on no wono sergeant officer.
Well, when we arrived, we were met by one sergeant officer called Joe Mendy.
We met en dari ni ta be wadi men cheki bandi amet ni fo be dari kala ko jogi no data jogi cigarette fi mo kala ko jogi da be jebta be nadi men der kanko men taw non der ton kanko no sergeant office sergeant in charge.
We were lined up and searched, and because they were looking for anything that we had, like cigarettes and other things. After they searched us, then this Joe Mendy, the sergeant in charge, is the person whom we met there.
Mr. Witness, before you were taken to Mile 2, were you taken to any court of law?
We do be nabu ka hororong do ka kasotong. Nda be nabu no yeso nyaawore ka court be nyaawa.
No, that didn't happen.
At this time, were you aware of any offense that you had committed?
Aha, on waddu ka wondong da afamu no wondam ande ko du wadu da ko dum wadi be nanguma da afamu no be famin no ma.
I still don't know my crime, what crime I have committed.
Can you tell the commission what happened when you got to Mile 2?
Joni jetti don hala na yi commission ko hondu wadi gila yahudon ha hewdon ka kasotong.
Be yewti on tuma kamendari don on jo wilan e yo kayfi.
When we were standing there, it was the time when Joe said, "You come here."
Ndido yaado no ben o jetti me on ben cell be security number 4 room number 4.
That's the time when they took me and another person to security wing number 4 and put us in a cell there.
The cell on men nadi go to men for a cell.
Then when we reached there, they put us each in a cell. By that time, there were some prisoners who were not locked up in cells, and that's the time when they came out. Because that day I was really agitated. I was even shaking because the following day was supposed to be the naming ceremony of my baby.
Baba
Job came and stood at my cell door. Then he started talking to me and was advising me.
Mr. Balde, can you tell this commission who you're referring to as Baba Job?
John Dida way walu the commission on si awi Baba Job ko hombo nda wi ude.
Baba Job go to Sokano the Mile 2.
It was the same Baba Job who was also incarcerated at the Mile 2 prison.
You may continue.
Baba Job.
He came and stood at my cell door and said to me, "Do you know me?" I said, "No, I don't know you." That's the time he said, "Well, I am called Baba Job." I said, "Yes, I used to see you, but we were not acquainted because even at the port, I used to see you there." He was advising me with Isa Balde and Hamadi Sow. They were the people who were advising me how things were there.
Baba Job not the officer who did sell.
That's the time when Baba Job called one officer and told him to open my cell door. And said to him, "This man is a civilian. Leave him to stay outside." Then that's the time I went and sat with them, and they went on talking to me, trying to calm me down until I was a little bit relieved. But sometimes I used to feel dizzy. And that's the time when they went and called a medic who came and checked me and discovered that my pressure really has gone up. And that's the day he gave me some medicine to drink to bring my pressure down. And from that day up to this minute, I kept on suffering this pressure.
Mr. Balde, up to that time of you being taken to mile 2, did you receive any treatment for your injuries that you sustained during the torture?
At that time, I was not given any treatment, no medication.
Continue.
Continue.
Then that day, I was really suffering. My head was paining. I was suffering. That was the time when Baba Job called this medic. And the NIA people were also called and gave them, and they informed them that this person you brought here is not well, he's sick.
Musa Kinte, Idrissa Job, Banjul Hospital.
That was the time when Musa Kinte and Idrissa Job came and they took me to the hospital in Banjul.
Can you tell this commission why the prison officers were unable to take you to RVTH for medication?
We joined the Highland Commission. Kondun Taki, Ligoto Benka Hodon, Duanica and Casoton, Bendon Tiki Benabani, Kalobudan, Burbenyama Yama.
And Taikambetigi after detainees on Velana Maldebo.
Well, at that time, the woman in charge didn't like this detainee affair. People who were detained there, she didn't like dealing with them at all. Because her reason was the NIA people come and dump detainees there. They are not taken to court. Nothing is done about them. They are just left languishing there. This is why she said, as far as the NIA are the people who brought these detainees here, if any one of them gets sick, let them come for the person and go and treat the person, because they are the ones who brought these detainees here.
So you're telling this commission that it was only the NIA agents who brought detainees into mile 2 who were allowed to also take them out when necessary?
Joni awa hino ini afa ko wiata kon commission ko du woni ko enay men tan kambe woni yimbe be andandama wondema be adda yimbe ka kaso ton be ara be joddina be ton to ko kambe tan hebata dole den kadi pour be arana be ton si be haajoribe.
Yes. At that time.
Continue to tell the commission what happened next after your treatment.
Joni dawa yettire don halana commission non ko honnu waditi gilande mabbe nabuma pour nyawndu golma.
Be nyawndi be hebi lekele be arti kono tawi.
Yes, they took me and gave me medication. I was treated, but at that time, that was the time when I came to know Musa Kinte really. That was the time when Musa Kinte went to my house and went to my wife and told her that if you want your husband to be released, you have to give us money. Then my wife gave him $30,000
at first.
Because he found my younger brother sitting down there. Then later he came back and he was given another $40,000. And between that and around that time,
then
I sent one officer to my home before all that to inform them that I am still alive. I wrote a letter because they wouldn't allow pens inside there. I wrote the letter with a pencil and gave it to them. Just for my wife to confirm that I am alive, I wrote a name there who only my wife knows, so that she will believe that the letter is from me. When my elder brother read the letter, he said, yes, this letter was written by my younger brother, Mumini.
Can you tell this commission what happened to the monies that Musa Kinte collected from your wife in the sum of $75,000?
Joni nda hida way halande commission on ko hondu wadi dimbudi di andandama wondam o wiyetedo Musa Kinte o ari e be ngure be nguma o jabi dimbudi ko andanda yahay guluji capande jeedi e jowi ko hondu wadi de
ko capande jeedi
70,000.
It was 70,000.
Thank you for that correction. Continue.
Oyi a jarama e nder ngol labbinore joni hida way jettide don
o mi wawata wide ko dum do wadi o yeyi tan ko jettide.
I don't know what happened to the monies. He just came and collected these monies from my wife and took it.
Did he at any time facilitate your release from detention?
Nda ka o yahuno pour o yaw o wawa toppitade fi no wawateda accitirede.
Ko dum wino debba.
That's what he told my wife.
Were you released?
Be accitunoma?
They never released me.
Can you tell the commission what your stay was like at Mile 2 prisons?
Nda hida way halande commission on jogagol magon no wonirno aton ko kaso ton ko honno dum wonirno ton.
Yes, I was just kept at Mile 2 prisons. Then after I learned what happened, then I sent somebody else to my wife and told her that let her not give any money to anybody else again who comes there to demand for money. What happened when I was selling, whatever money I collected from the business, I used to take the money to the bank on Fridays. Because in those days there were not many banks here. It was the bank which was at Westfield was the bank where I usually take the money. And at that time, if you go there, you will stand in a queue for quite a long time. This is why I left that amount of money at home so that the following Monday I can go and buy more things so that I will continue with the business. At that time, I kept 450,000 in the house there, but my wife didn't know where all the money was kept. But at that time, I have left $2,000 with her for safekeeping. That money was with her, but she didn't know where the other monies were kept. When I was at the Kotu police station, that was the time I told her in our telephone conversation where the money was kept. That was why Musa Kinte was able to collect these 70,000 from her.
Mr. Witness, can you tell this commission if you were ever charged with an offense?
Joni ni nda hida way halande commission on da koko nangano wattu mo nangano adon fo ndabbe meedi ma tegude tumal be wi ma wonde ma ko dum do waduda ko dum do bonnuda e songo luwa on ko dum dak men nanguma wallahi comme sifani on do ko ni oni.
I swear to God, just as I narrated to you, that's what happened. They never charged me.
Were you eventually taken to court?
Da ka sakitoron dum be nabuno maka court pour nyaawugol ma
ende me woni ha maybe on the 10th June.
I was there until after 2 years because on the 10th of June.
Well, no, sir, on the 3rd June.
Sorry, it was on the 3rd of June.
And I buried the mobile many detainees who were 4 Mile 2.
When the NI came and collected all the detainees at Mile 2.
Can you tell us what year?
2009.
It was in 2009.
And when you say all the detainees, can you be more specific for the commission to understand?
Joni si wi onon be wada be detain be don onon jodina be ton be fop dahida way don labbinde dum ko hondu dum firdi ko non hono ko jelo ma ko hono dum do yaari
andinde me woni non ton tay hibe labbi yimbe lowi der ton wobbe men tawi ton to be wadi wani iya wobbe ton boyi ton.
Well, we were just languishing in prison there as detainees. Some spent a year, some were even longer there than a year, and we were also brought there and we joined them there. We were all together there.
It has got on down on my.
And one detainee got sick there until he died. And it was a Senegalese national, and he was, the Senegalese people talked about him. To go and bury that person became a problem. So it was after that incident that they came and took all the detainees out. And it was announced that they wanted to release us. Then we were brought back to the NIA. And that day, it was Idrissa Job who came there. But he came with vehicles where you have paramilitary officers on board those vehicles. Then he also came with some members of some operatives of the NIA, but those people were strangers. I didn't know them before. We were brought back to the NIA and we were again locked up in cells at the NIA. They will come and call one person and take him away. Afterwards, they will come back again and call another person and go along with that person. Until they came to me and said, well, we want to release you people because you have been here for quite a long time now. They prepared a paper and told me to sign it. The paper, I don't know what was written on it because I have not gone to school. I don't know what was written there because it was in English and I have not gone to school. And even if I had gone to school, they don't allow you, they don't give you that time to read. They will just tell you to sign. We signed those papers and then he told me, now you will go back to mile 2. We were taken back to mile 2 around 11 at night.
Mr. Balde, can you tell the Commission how many days you spent at NIA?
NIA.
First time go 21 days. 22
We spent 21 days at the NIA. On the 22nd day, we were taken back to my mile 2 prisons.
On the 3rd June,
on the 3rd of June, when we were taken to the NIA, that was the time we signed these papers and we were brought back to mile 2 prisons.
On the 10th June?
It was until after 10th of June, until on 10th of June. In the morning, they came and called us. We were made to board vehicles with the para-military officers. We were taken to Brikama Magistrates Court. And they told us that today you are going to court, and we met Magistrate Pahari Jamme.
Mr. Balde, before you were asked to board the truck, did they indicate where you were being taken to?
Police officer, prison officer,
the prison officer responsible for taking prisoners to court, that was the person who just came and said, well, these people want to take you people to court today. Because you have stayed here for quite a long time, they are now afraid to just release you like that. That's the time we were taken to this magistrate court in Brikama.
How many of you were taken to the court on that day?
17 people.
I cannot quite remember, but we were either 16 or 17 of us.
Do you remember the offense you were charged with?
Dahida wai mandi dare tumal ngal beti ngal e hore ma.
Eh?
Yes, I can remember. We were all charged with terrorism.
Can you tell the commission what happened with the case?
Ko hon dum wadno on case mo.
And be member charge men terrorism minen fo men jaak on tuma pa masre on par jamme men guilty wala no guilty dum do melanda.
When we were charged with this terrorism offense, Pa Hari Jammeh just asked us, are you people guilty or not?
Ala we men ha got wada dum guilty.
Well, we told him that none of us is guilty of terrorism here.
What the adjourned case on 2 weeks.
Then he adjourned the case for another 2 weeks. Our return for the continuation of the trial, we didn't meet him there. We met another magistrate there called Mr. Mahoney.
First time
the first prosecutor we found there didn't come that day, but the second day, prosecutor, somebody called Mr. Baku, he was the man who came there that day.
We case on not dama pari on to we magistrate on mituri ya ko dala said pasko ko hankim hindi file and fight ko empty file ko mamindara.
When the case was called, Mr. Baku asked the judge to give him time because he said that he was just given the case file just a day before the trial itself. So they should give him time to acquaint himself with the case.
After Mahoney mo John Madi case on 2 weeks kono sid aro adonata mi terrorism at parce que mimi alama ka lo Gambia.
Then there's a time when Mr. Mahoney said, okay, I'll allow you time, but when you coming back, you come with the Terrorism Act because I don't have it with me. So from that day, we didn't go back to Brikama. We were at mile 2 until after 1 month. They took us from there and took us to the High Court in Banjul. And the man there that day was Moses Richards. Then there's a time when we started going back, coming, going and coming, going and coming. I cannot even remember the days now. The witnesses who were called to come and talk. It was only 4 people who came and spoke there. The witnesses also were just coming to say that I wrote Mr. So-and-so's state testament or statement.
So you're therefore telling this commission that all the witnesses that came and testified during your case were officials?
Yoni no wa ini ko falda wiide commission ko dum woni be seede be nayo arbe be fo ton jonni de seede yagal mabbe ngal be fo ko yimbe be andandama wondama hibe liggo e der gardum dum woni ko police ay ma ko NIA be ko be fo ko sifa be yimbe
be aduna ton goto de on do meda moyde ko ke to ko to mi futti moyde ko on independent witness.
Well, the only person who came there whom I didn't know was somebody who they said was the independent witness. He was called Tijan Ba. His name is Tijan Ba.
Continue.
When he came there, my lawyer asked me, I said, well, I've never set eyes on this man. When my lawyer asked him, well, you said you were there when Mumini was being questioned. Now we were arraigned, and the lawyer asked him, can you identify who is Mumini Ba? He said he cannot identify me because we are many people, and the time he saw me was quite a long time, so this is why he cannot identify me. Then there's a time when my lawyer told him, really, you don't know this man, because my client says that he doesn't know you, he has never seen you, and you now cannot identify him.
Mr. Balde, can you tell this commission how long the court case lasted?
Joni hino wayni Mr. Balde dayɗa wawi haalande ɓe ñawore monden ko wattuji jalu ɗum ƴetti.
Ƴetti duuɓi ɗiɗi.
The trial went on for 2 years.
And what eventually was the verdict?
On ɗum wonno sakkitor ɗum ko honno ɓe taƴƴiri ñawore nde.
Ara ñande wotere ɓe ara rek ɓayri jooƴo landi ɓe tawi on toma Richard aji ko goɗɗo gono wiye Emmanuel Ikpala.
Well, one day we just came to the court, because Moses Richard was no longer there. One man called Emmanuel Ikpala, that day was the man who was in charge.
Tuma o landi ɓe gani o landi ɓe gani o wiya o waɗi case on ajo en 2-3 weeks ɗum hawroyi on the 11 May.
When he also took over, when we came there, he said, okay, he's going to adjourn the case for 3 weeks, which ended on the 11th of May. When we came that day was the day when we should start talking.
Today is my ruling.
Honor?
George, the judge said today is the ruling.
When we came, the judge announced that today he is going to do the ruling on that day.
Mr. Witness, you've said it occurred on the 11th of May.
Awi wonde ma ɗum no heɓi lunu won lewru tubako sappo e go'o mi lewru May.
Can you tell this commission the year?
Da hitande nde ɗawa ende manditade.
2011.
2011.
You may continue.
Ɗawa ƴettirde ɗon.
That's the time when he started reading the statements.
When we he started reading their statements and so on, he said, now, none of these people were found with weapons. So therefore, well, he was unable, and they don't know each other, even the witnesses. Well, it means that they don't know each other, the witnesses cannot identify them, and they don't know the witnesses too. And that day, Yumbe na home onon. 4 people were told that they have a case to answer, but the rest of us were told that you people don't have any case to answer for. We actually discharge all of them.
And then that's the day he said he's going to discharge all of us except those 4 people, they said, who has a case to answer.
Did you return to Mile 2 on that day?
Me rutino kono tay baku wino prosecutor o wi kanko case on ben me jogi case as parce que kanko no wodi ko mari ko hamen fuddo haalde. Because
we went back to Mile 2 because Baku said he has a case and we were supposed to say something about, he's going to say something about the case.
Jojo wi mo kala ko wada amarde fi mabbe kanko hande kambe waleta Mile 2.
And the judge said, whatever you have, well, these people shouldn't remain at Mile 2.
Mi do ma no ko de sans wonde wodere mi jonna be bel only ID card.
I will give you a chance, and they will be bailed with ID cards. And we were told to inform our relatives to come with ID cards so that they can bail us, and that's the way it happened. After me ruti Mile 2, men fadi me jone me ruto Mile 2 be ruti men fadi kaydi ndi ha belji din ko wada police prison officer on korta on to ma be kaytaji di men arti. Then we went back to Mile 2 until our relatives came and these bail documents were prepared, and that's the time Korta took care of those papers and the bails were processed. Then afterward we were released, then we were told to be going back to report. And when you go to report, they will tell you go and come back after 2 weeks. That also took another year. We were going and coming.
Can you tell this commission what happened after the year of going to court?
Hondu wadi dahida wa halande commission ko hondu wadi gilanda ma hitande hande mai do yaha court do yaha wada yaha ara kay nyaaw suudu nyaawor.
Well, ono dum no bayre ko comme hondu wadi inanan question.
O wi ko hondu wadi gilanda ma do wada yaha ara gilabe wadi on beel don hondu wadi de ha hit don den hitande den huubi ko hondu wadi
le me wadi ha ara ha be jonni me on to me ko bel on ko me yata report on to my tay Manuel Pala hoti.
Well, when we were going and coming towards the end of the year, that was the time when Manuel Ikpala went home.
After Idrissa Mbaye, Judge got no Idrissa Mbaye ko over the case on release totally.
Then it was taken over by Idrissa Mbaye, who really later on released the case. In fact, that day I didn't go. It was my lawyer who brought the document to me.
So you were eventually acquitted and discharged by the court?
Yes, I was released by the court.
Mr. Balde, can you tell this commission the effect that your detention and torture had on you and your family?
Johnny, Mr. Balde no ini ndahida way hala de commission ngol nangu gol mo wattu ngo wonno da ngol jungo fop dum ko hondun cadela dum addi e ma e kanyum may be ngure ma de wattu mo jo wonno da e jungo ko hondun addi e ma tampere nden kanyum may lappugol ko be lappuma ko.
No tampere nden dum mi wayde ko tampere amin bando amin dan ko mi wayde tampere be ngure nde ha hande mi do wonde e mudum.
I can say the suffering I went through up to this day, I feel the pain on my body. Except the pain my family also felt. But personally, I think I felt more pain than anybody else in the family. Because since I was born, I was reared by my uncle in business, and I also went on with the same business. Until when I started my own business, I had a small family. I didn't have any problems. Things were going fine for me. Things went up to a point when the suffering went to a head, up to the point that my wife was evicted from the house or from the compound we were staying. That's why she went to Abuko. I was even planning to build my own compound, but things went haywire because of this problem. The house we were occupying, we used to pay 600 at the end of the month. But later on, she was unable to pay. That was the time when a visitor came to me and said, he was my younger brother. He said, can you leave me to go along with the business so that we will be earning something to help the family with? And what was happening in those days, if my wife goes to the market on a Monday, she will not be able to go to the market again until the following Monday. That was the time when my brother said he wants to do some business so that they can have something to sustain the family with. It is today that I am able to narrate this case. It was that time that she had this problem. Up to this point, if some things happens which shocks him, he will even fall down and faint. And this went on because even if I quarrel with her, when she becomes so highly agitated, she will fall down and faint. Even the doctors at Fajikunda now know about this problem. So this is why I changed and calmed down, and any person, the way you grow up and as far as you are getting old, you will become wiser. Well, but at that time, my son had started going to school when this problem happened. Then there was a time when he has to leave school because of the problems. He sat down for 2 years without going to school. When I was having this problem, when this problem was happening, he was going to a private school. Then my wife took him to the school at Abuko. He should have gone to grade 12 last year, but because of this problem, he sat down for 2 years. It's now that he's able to go to grade 11.
Kanko nde wonno tawi o mantiki seeɗa affaire o kanko ko ɗum waɗi ko lo o waɗi ala ko meta ko waɗi commerce o jaɓani.
Yeah, this is why right now as he is growing up, now afterwards he's now going to do law. He wants to do law.
Ay goko mi tan wota mi yaltinde kel kanko ñaagi mi fi Allah wata ayaltu yimɓe ɓe fo yiyama fremɓe amɓe fo yiyama par ce que aroɓe ɗo istodi ɓe fo no andima.
Because the reason why I don't want to come out plain for people to see me on TV, it was him who begged me. He begged me, he pleaded with me, saying that I have many friends and I don't want them to see you plainly like that, and they will now understand what has happened to you and they will know the reason for my problems. If it is suffering, because up to now I am still renting, we are still suffering.
And the
day I came out of this problem,
$5,000.
when where my wife was selling, she had some money with her, which was about $5,000. It was this 5,000 that I found at home. It was because of Allah who protected me. I didn't fight with people. Because when I was with myself and by myself, I didn't make myself too big over the people. I kept a low profile. This is why people also were able to go along with me. Because that's why I am still trying, struggling to make things, to make ends meet. And as far as now the family is a little bit larger, to find and sustain, to find something to sustain them is really difficult. But still I will say thanks to Allah, because it was Allah who is sustaining us.
Mr. Balde, it is also correct that you're telling this commission that you did not get to see your newborn baby.
We know what ini ka fa abi commission wanda ma bobo ma keso jibina don ayano mo.
From the date of her birth until when you were released.
Yande ma nyalande o jibina den ha ko nyalande de accita da den ko nyande si teguda yitara ma e makko.
Non de mi naba court maybe 2 years.
The day we went to court was the day I saw the baby. By that time, he was 2 years old.
After the case we no warrant at the castle, may he be visit.
And a warrant was written, which was brought to the prison, and that was the time we were allowed for a visit.
2 years, court 2 years.
And my detention was 2 years.
The trial also.
And the trial also took 2 years.
4 years parce que maybe nanga on the 26 May comme 2007 comme attack on the 11 May 2011.
From 2007 when I was arrested and I was released in May 2011. So I spent 4 years in incarceration.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Mr.
Chair, thank you. I have no more questions for this witness. I'm handing over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, my counsel, and thank you, Mr. Momini Balde, for your testimony.
Kiaman kadivimo ajarama counsel ajarama angkadi sede woni Momini Balde sede agal mangal gal jondirda dongal.
And I'm truly sorry that you had to suffer so much in the hands of the NIA.
Owi kanko dalo wi dum do himo ma wona motoro yafu e ma tamperende tambudande de andanda ma de hebinde e jungo be yimbe gardobe leydi den.
You weren't the only victim. It turned out that the entire family suffered in the hands of the NIA.
Hino ini wana antango to hebi cadede de wana antango to hebi metterde kono hay be ngura manen fo dum memo ete dum fo no hebi jungo hombe ko duwoni be liggantobe leydi ning.
Really sorry about that.
Himo yama motoro yafu e do dum don ko hebuma kon.
Commissioners, if you have any questions, please indicate. Commissioner, I'm a deputy chair, you have the floor.
Joni mulando commissioner ben e do ko halda do kon kala jogido ko falama landade no way hollirde jonnon ko don hikkido e makko on ko woni deputy kia on kon kadi himo hebi ko landotoma.
Thank you, witness.
Mr. Balde.
I want to go back a little bit to when you were at Kotu police station.
We can go down ko fa la rutita de ba o seda ko woni wattu mo jamanu mo be nanguno ma on ko woni Kotu police station.
You were suffering from claustrophobia.
We da hebuno nyaw go wiete do claustrophobia.
He could not breathe.
We do woni awata fofude.
And to the extent that you asked the officers if they could allow you to sit outside.
We ha hewti wattu wi da wonde ma todida dum woni police be wonde ma sibe jonnata be wawata ma yafa de pour be yaltina ma ka yasi jodo da ka yasi.
Did they allow you to sit outside?
Ndabe jonno be jabuno pour jodo da ka yasi.
Yes, I was allowed to sit out.
Okay, thank you.
Ajaram.
Thank you, Commissioner Mjalo.
Commissioner Mjalo won ma elandade.
Sede.
We said on.
Ang amedi metere aduna fo.
You have tested all the sufferings of the world.
Ngal pewal kadi lamdo e lamibe.
And the injustice was caused by people who were in government.
Sandari yesoto.
If you look in front on the other side,
ino winda to never again do watata hankati aduna.
What is written there is never again, no more recurrence of what has happened. If something like that is existing in a country, what do you think should be the path for the people so that a reoccurrence of this will not happen again? Because you have gone through all the hardships. Please forgive for all what has happened to you. What I want is for you to tell the whole world from your own mouth so that something like this will not happen again. Thank you.
Hey, Arandi, mean kuburi mi force de adogal mara to testify.
You know what really pressed me to come here and testify? So that people will understand that every single person working in a government, whatever is your duty or your work, you should know what you are supposed to do. Because for me, I know that God doesn't give everything entirely to the person. He gives you to take care of it. If you don't learn or you don't have any knowledge, and your child should have knowledge and learn, well, it's all right. But whatever is remaining, Allah just takes things and trusts to a person until the day Allah takes you away, then that thing goes away. If you look at us here, it is the people who are in a panel here. But all those people in the government will not ask God for their bad names or for them to be mentioned here adversely. But if you are afraid of the panel, then you should think of it between yourself and Allah. And that's something which will have to happen one day. Whatever a person does is for yourself. You can trouble somebody because maybe it might be a destiny from God, but you yourself will also have your own share one day. Because those people who were beating me, some of them found me at mile 2. They were also incarcerated. But when they came, some of them found it very difficult to even look at me. But when they came and found me there, I didn't look at them with bad eyes because I know we were all in the same problem. I believe that it was Allah who gave them that power. But now, Allah has taken that power from them. I know that every country, there will be people with power. But if you are entrusted with that power, have it properly, do things accordingly. If you are behind the law, yes, do things according to the law. But if you do it that way, you will not suffer. But if you do the wrong way, you will face the consequences one day. Constitution Gambia 72 hours. Because according to the Gambian constitution, it says that 72 hours, if you arrest somebody, he should either be taken to the court or bailed. And you get 2 years detainees. But now you detain somebody for 2 good years. And later on, you were not charged with anything, just to tell you that you are charged with terrorism. What has happened has happened. But I'm very happy with the TRRC. Yes.
Thank you for those remarks. Neither the Constitution nor the laws of the Gambia authorize the NIA to abuse the human rights of any individual.
We ajarama kiaman we ajarama wana constitution no wana loi lady ding hay goto yamirar NIA be burbe nanga neddo be joddina madula goto ko buri wattu mo halda do.
Imam C, you have the floor, please.
Imam C, Commissioner Imam C, kadi won ma erda e landagol.
Chairman Muminu.
He's saying, Mr. Mumin.
Jarama.
Thank you. I am also appealing to you for forgiveness. Because of the suffering you encountered and you were offended. What I am asking you is for 2 things. Because the way they arrested you and the suffering they meted out to you. And during those days, you were doing a very big business. Because you were having things for business, and maybe those things were placed at a place for business. Because what I'm asking about is those materials that you brought for business. Did you have any problems with them later on, or what has happened to them? Somebody who has just closed from work came home, and you sat in your house until at night, then they come and arrest you, and you were doing a big business. That's a big problem. The second thing is, the day they told you that, well, what you've said to us here is the truth. If you speak the truth, you would not have suffered. The person they brought there, who also testified and told them that this man didn't do anything. What was their accusation on you and that man? This is what I want to ask. He himself, that man, I don't know what problem he had with them. Because they took him to court and he was having an ID card. They discovered that the man is not a Gambian. 4 years. He was tried and locked up and jailed for 4 years. Well, after he was jailed, I didn't know what else happened, but we were all detained, we were all in jail together. But after the man told them that, what if this man is innocent, he did nothing wrong, well, that's all where I ended with him. About the problem you asked for the business, for the merchandise, that's where everything died. My business died there. The money I left at home and with my wife, That's the money they were living on. That's the money they were using for anything that the family needs. And that's the same money that they were coming to collect from my wife until the money was completely spent.
What $40,000.
In fact, somebody also owed me $40,000. Then one day I was able to send somebody to that man so that he can give that $40,000 to my wife for fish money. Well, at that time there were good people. Because some will go and buy a bag of rice at night and take it to my home. But they were all afraid to come out in the open. They will even tell my wife, even if Mumini is released, don't tell him that I did this for him or for you or for the family. Because it was Allah who put us all together. Yes, this is how my family survived.
Thank you. Commissioners on my right, Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Muminin. We have been highly touched by the encounter, the trauma you encountered. I just want to ask one or two questions. One of them is, Musa Kinte took up to 70,000 from your wife. After 4 years, you have been vindicated and released. Did you make any effort to recover this amount from Musa? If you did, what were the results?
I never got that money back. I was informed that Musa Kinte died. They said he went for a mission in Ghana when we were in prison. They said he suffered stomach ache in Ghana and that's where he died.
Yes, that's true. The second question is, you said they went on collecting more and more money from your wife. Can you give one or two examples where, and the amounts they have collected from your wife to have drained her of the amount you had reserved at home?
Around 5.
They went there on 2 occasions. He used to go there around 5 p.m.
One day, these 2 occasions, the first time he came, he explained to my wife that, well, they'll be able to release me, but you have to give us some money. That's the first time he gave him $30,000. The second time that he came was the time he was given $40,000.
Mumini, Musa's case is clear to me. I said, you told us you had something like $2,000 aside, $450,000 aside, and so on. But you made in your remark that they gradually went on collecting money from my wife. In that case, yes, I was trying to get 1 or 2 examples and the amounts, apart from the one affecting Musa.
kasundere suudu ton joni awi kadi ka nder haala ma wonno wattu e wattu ɓe ara ɓe ƴetta seeɗa jungoje ɓeyguma joni ko ɗum o faala laɓɓinde ko ɗum o faala pour laɓɓinanama ko ɗin ɗon mbuuɗi hono ɓe siɓi wadde seeɗa ɓe yaa ɓe ƴetta seeɗa ha ɗum ɗon fo ɓe wawi ɗin fo siiɓade e jungo e ɓeyguma
eyi ɗon ko noon aɗa andi hunde ko satti fof gonga ɓuuri moƴƴude.
Yes, whatever happens, to tell the truth is better than anything.
Exactly.
Kamɓe on ko Moussa Kinte tan ƴettoy ton on 70,000.
It was only Moussa Kinte who took that 70,000.
Heddi kon hay goto yahan ton ƴettoy kalis.
And on their side, apart from Moussa Kinte, nobody went there for money from the
Heddi kon
NIA.
noon ɓe yahayno ɓe dogga ɓe yiida e seeɗen ɓe dogga yara ga artira ga kitika ando duuɓi nayi ha probléme o gasa kalisi gollani.
Yeah, because as far as I was not working, the businesses and what my family was living on were all
going to the marabouts.
Going to the marabouts, and they were just spending the money like that. It was from my family who were spending the money, going to the marabouts, and the sustenance of the family. This is how all the money was spent.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other question? Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Commissioner Bishop kadi wi mo mari ko Orlando Toma.
Thank you, Chairman.
Wi mo ajarama kiyaman.
Mr. Mumini Balde.
Mr. Mumini Balde.
You had a shop before you were arrested. And I suppose you had some merchandise in that shop. What happened to them after your arrest?
Everything got spoiled. It just went like that.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Mr. Balde, if you have any concluding remarks to make, please proceed to make them now.
Ini Joni kia man ko ne wide kon ko doni am Mr. Balde an seeda on joni ka wando sita mari ankade ko faala da haalude uddirgol haala maka e yamirore da wawi haalde
ko gonga de si yawti haray haalangol wonbe ka laamube.
Well, that's okay. Apart from something that I want to tell the people in government. Looking at the TRRC, there is one problem about mile 2. Whatever they do for mile 2 is small. Not only for food or where to spend the night.
95% cases in mile 2.
Not, I cannot say about 100, but 95% of the cases at mile 2.
Parce que net lo kala ko o wawi wadde so naati mile 2 rek wada guilty. Anda hun won problem makko. Sada ton ka pirisina rek anda hun won problem makko.
Because anyone who goes into mile 2, very shortly the person becomes guilty.
Ibe jogi dum be wada sentence kaso ji goddi sikani problem on no jari ton.
There are certain sentences they put on people I don't think is worth the crime they committed. Somebody like Samba Doroba, who once testified here.
Baba Galle
came here. I saw them on TV. I was not well present when their crimes were committed or when they committed those crimes. But I sat with them in prison. We discussed, and the life sentence really was too much. If there is any way that help can be extended to these people, I know the suffering at mile 2, but some help can be extended to mile 2 so that the suffering will decrease. When I went to mile 2, Sambadoro was going to court at the time. If they want to send me to buy something like sugar or whatever they want to eat, my younger brother will just say that he came to visit Sambadoro. At that time, he was not yet convicted. Because at that time, they don't allow visitors for me.
Don't know.
That was the time when he was bringing things for me through Sambadoro. Until after they were convicted, I don't have the mind just to look at these people at mile 2. I cannot look at you and leave you there like that. I cannot. It was hard. Mile 2 is very hard. Nobody should make the mistake of going to mile 2. Things like stealing a goat or even stealing clothes shouldn't make somebody to be incarcerated at mile 2. A lot of them are there. It's just a mistake why they are in there. I swear, if you bring them out today, they will never commit those types of crimes. I don't have any powers, but what I can do is to appeal. When I came out of mile 2, it's more than a year now, more than 10 years now. But still, if I pass by the door of mile 2, it will appear to me that I just left the prison just a day before. What I feel. Those under confinement, they go, when they are going to ease themselves, they go out with buckets. Somebody living that kind of life for 2, 3 to 4 years, it's very difficult. Even if you are accused, what you have accused is true, really, much more if you are accused of something that you didn't commit. I will not say that it's true that these things they committed is really worth, but really, there are a lot of people in the prison who has regretted ever being taken into that place. I still feel the pain of mile 2 because I know what is going on there, and the people in there, I know what they are going through. Mi meeɗa wullude haggila mi nanga mi meeɗa wullude mi lapama ko mi lapa mi wullani kono ñande ɓe wino lam mi waɗi firi miɗo yalta mayel to mi wulluno mi wawani waynodede hay e goto. When I was arrested, I never cried. The day they beat me and did everything to me, I never shed a single tear. But the day they told me that you are released from mile 2, I cried like a baby on that day because of the feelings I have and what is happening in mile 2. It was on a Wednesday in the morning. There was a soldier called Aliuba. In fact, he is now passed away. He has now passed away. It was the morning when he came to me and told me, younger brother, I said yes. He told me, today you will be going home. If we have something to eat, bring it so that we can eat it. But you will go home today. I told him, why are you saying this? On what do you base this statement on? I'm going to court, and you are telling me that I'm going home today. He told me, if I had given you this information before, you will be in a hurry for this day today. But today, your food is finished from this jail. I laughed. I said, hey, elder brother, this is what you are telling me. He said, yes, I'm telling you the truth. I had some sardines plus bread, myself, elef jamme. I brought it and we ate. We ate and we went out and we prepared and went to court. When we were coming back, he opened the door and was standing outside. He told me, younger brother, how are things? I said, yes, we have been released. But at that point, I was so excited that I cannot speak. I cannot say anything. We went in and sat down until when Korta came and with those documents and said, well, everything is here. Aliulo came here, and at that time he was also one of the detainees. He came to me and said, Boy Pulo, what's happening? Why are you crying so much? And at that time, I cannot even joke with him. I was unable to talk to anybody or to tell anybody anything. The time I was going out of the prison, I was crying like anything. I was there until in the Ramadan on a Thursday, but it has been a long time after my release. That soldier Aliuba I mentioned went to the hospital. He called me. Then he gave a note to a nurse, Fatou Kamara, and told her to call me to inform me that there is a prisoner here called Aliuba. I was in Banjul, then I came straight to the hospital. I came there because all the guards there, we knew one another, we were all acquainted. Because he was, something was prescribed for him. Then I took out $400 and gave it to him for him to go and buy the medicine. I gave the money to the nurse. She said no. I gave it to the guards. And he told me, whatever you hear, if you have not cried, then it has not finished. He said, well, the suffering has ended. On the Thursday at night, when they were released from the prison, on the following Thursday, early in the morning, one prison officer called me. He told me, do you know that your elder brother has been executed? I said, who? He said, Aliuba. They came for them last night. Aliuba, Elef Jamme, Lamin Jaju, Dauda Bojang. They were the people I was very, very well acquainted with because we used to sit down together at the same place. I was so shocked. 2 days I didn't go out of my compound. What I can say about Mile 2 is if there is any way that they can help these people. I'm not saying all of the people in Mile 2, but there are some people who really should be helped. Yes, if those people can be helped, I'll be very happy. If I say anything that's wrong here, please forgive me. I'm just human.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balde, for those remarks.
Mr. Baldawi kiamanwi ajarama no fewiri ender ngol halama mojuka.
Thank you especially for adding to the information that we've heard when we had the prison hearings concerning conditions at the Mile 2 prisons.
Joni kadi ajarama ke yewtorande yewdaro e torogal gon toddo ngol sengo e kasongong te men ha men fewji no do kadi men yewtino do kadi sengo kasongong kadi no wairi non ton no walori non.
We also thank you for testimonies regarding the extraordinary violations and abuses perpetrated by agents of the NIA.
Oui, ha joni kala men yettima e yewtere ma nde yewtuɗa ɗo nden ko andandama o nden no fewti e sababu ɗum woni limɓe ɓe andandama heɓe liggano laamu ngun koɓe tampimma kon e yimɓe woɓɓe ɓe andana ɓe bonni gueɗal maɓɓe ko andandama wonnan ko gueɗal maɓɓe te ko Allah yeɗi ɓe ɗum.
We thank you for coming to testify before the commission.
Yettima pour argol ma pour jonnigol seedeyagal ma ngal yeeso commission on ɗo.
We will take a lunch break and then resume at 2:30.
Nini joni me yawde fotandegol ɗum woni bottare e juulugol men ruttitoto mi ara ɗo e ɗum woni wattuji ɗiɗi so yawti minute aji 30.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Kila bugun gis. Si.